Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for another In the Bag with your two bearded hosts, Jason and Brad. Jason, how are you doing today?
I am doing great. I'm actually doing really good because I'm in the break room, which is better air conditioning than the warehouse.
Yes.
And the warehouse is still better than everything outside, but I actually get to record in the break room, so I'm nice and comfortable. How you doing, Brad?
Good. Been a fun week. I know we're prepping for some exciting stuff in the next couple weeks here at Foundation, and we're both extremely excited to watch Hunter, Trevor, and Robbie on the Creator Cup today. So it's been a little bit of a wild ride. I'm sure by this time you've seen the guys' stories, but I don't know. We haven't confirmed if they were trapped at the airport all night, they stayed at a hotel, or what they did, but they had an all-nighter, some plane situations with the storms. So it'll be interesting. I can't wait to hear the stories when they get back here. But I'm excited to watch Robbie and Hunter and Trevor all compete. Robbie is with Ezra Aderhold, I believe, right, Jason?
That is correct.
So that'll be quite a fun time to watch. Brody and Hunter, and then Trevor and Yuli. So we're excited. We're filming this before that, so I hope the guys do well. And then, selfishly, I think we both hope Robbie does really well. Shout out Robbie. Yep. So so we have Jason subbing in for Robbie today because I think it's just always fun to get perspective on, I guess, different people's perspective on things. And Jason, we were talking, and you've been competing a lot more, playing more rated rounds, trying to actively improve your rating, and I actually found a couple questions that kind of align with maybe your game or like some of the things you talk about a lot. So I thought this would be a pretty fun episode, and we'll just call you and Silas are like you're members of the In the Bag crew, so we'll just call it what it is. It's not even honorary anymore. So thought I'd have you on, have a little bit of a discussion, and get into it. So the first thing here, I have a couple from last episode. Jason, you can act as Jason, even though this one is directed toward me and Robbie. But I think it's cool too because Jason's the only other person that has like this direct warehouse and feels all the discs kind of like I do. So he'll have some good input there as well. But this is from Matt L. So shout out Matt L. Says, hi, Brad and Robbie. With so much of disc spotlight being on big brands like Discraft, Innova, MVP, etc., what are some small company unique molds from each disc category that you say that's dang good? And I like that you say that because I could probably say that's dang good. Jason, I'll let you maybe go first. What's something smaller manufacturer that you think is like overlooked as far as like disc goes?
Well, for me, the easy one for sure is the Jackalope with mint disc. Even though we talk about, at least historically and in the bag, we talked about a lot. Mint disc still doesn't get a lot of widespread, not love, but just widespread known. Yeah. Right? The widespread notoriety, not in good ways or bad ways. They're just not as well known. They have a lot of good disc in that lineup. Sure, I know you're a Bobcat guy. The Goat is really good. Of course, I'm a Jackalope guy that was not in the bag right now, but I would still recommend the Jackalope all day, every day to a lot of players, both new and experienced. The ocean disc ones I haven't thrown them now. Full disclosure, like I really wish I'd thrown them, but I'm doing all pink this year. So this year I'm not throwing any. I'm literally on rounds. I'm only playing discs that are only pink. So if I don't have them in pink, I don't throw it. So, but the ocean disc feel good. So the different plastics, they have a variety of different plastics. I haven't thrown them yet, but I can't imagine with how good they feel, them not getting not getting the flights that you'd want out of them. And another one that, ironically, that we Max pulled one today was Visionary disc. So we carry the Amethyst, is the only disc we carry from them. Right. But the stamp is cool, and the plastic feels great. Right. And it's even one, like we have a pink one out there, and I'm like, well, maybe I'll grab one of those because I know it feels good because I think it's similar to a Lobster or a Pathfinder, maybe, if I remember correctly. Yeah. Now, obviously, I throw a lot of neutral stuff to slightly understable stuff. So those are three different levels of one. Ocean Disc, a new one on the game, a new kid in the block. Visionary, I think, is still trying to get out there, and of course, Mint's been around a while, so a lot of people may know the Mint stuff. Yeah, what you got, Brad?
I think I would agree with you. I mean, Mint's always going to be my pick. Actually, I think ironically, I'm wearing a Mint shirt today. They're always my pick for smaller manufacturer. I think where they struggle with some notoriety and just some people bagging them is they don't produce their own discs. They're produced through MVP. And they have, I think they just have availability problems a lot. So it's very rare that you see even retailers have all of their lineup, because all of their lineup is really good. They have, I mean, I love, like, the Lasso's good, the Lobster's good, the Jackalope's good, the Mustang's good, the Grackle is incredible, and the Grackle just came back around. It's been a year or so. And I think you said Bobcat as well. Obviously, I bag a Bobcat. A bag of Grackle, a bag of Bobcat, depending on how I feel. I'll have a Jackalope in there as well. Yeah, the Alpha is really good as well. So there's a Freetail is underrated. It's a very fun disc to throw. So they have a lot of good discs. I think they just struggle with having a lot of them in stock at the same time and being widely available. But that's cool. And I think also their stamp game is like one of the better ones in the whole game, to be honest with you. And that matters to me.
Yeah, I'm actually going to throw like a little honorable mention there, which is going to sound crazy, right? But I think because so many newer players, now think about newer players in the game, so many newer players are wowed by the MVPs and the Discrafts, even the Innovas. And sometimes Prodigy actually gets overlooked. Now, folks who've played for many years, the guys, they know Prodigy left and right, every disc, forwards and backwards, right? Between playing on college disc golf, so they know Prodigy really well. Right. But I'm surprised how many newer players don't really know Prodigy, and as a bigger, smaller one, maybe a bigger one that doesn't get as much love because there's good and bad criticism of Prodigy stuff, but they have a lot of really good plastic and really good discs that I think don't get as much love as they deserve.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that. And like, this is not a small manufacturer by any means, but I think that DGA gets overlooked.
Yeah.
I mean, like the Quake is so good, the Squall is good. I mean, the Sonar's really good. They have a lot of the Rogue is good.
Yeah.
The Pipeline.
And this year too. Yep, I'm a Pipeline fan. Haven't had one in the bag in a while, but I've always liked it. And I think what helped for me this year, even though I don't have any DJ in my bag, the plastic, their newer plastic they come out with, their Tour Series plastic, just feels really good. So for me, some of the previous plastics didn't feel great with DJ. I'm sure the mold was great, but I'm very much I want the plastic to feel good in my hand. And this year's run between the I can't even think of the new plastics they've come out with. They feel really good. Like you can tell they've stepped up to like their premium feels a little bit better. And even the base feels a little bit better. And of course their Tour Series is really good. So I think that's another good one that definitely when I think about stuff in our warehouse because the guys throw a lot of DGA here and there. Trevor does. And then Robbie will as well. It still just doesn't get we don't pull a lot of DGA when we're pulling discs.
Yeah. The Quake is definitely one of my like top 10 favorite discs of all time. So they have some very, very good plastic. Yeah, now to your point, like the Spark is their new plastic blend that they put out, and then obviously their Tour Series was basically Z Jawbreaker Flex this year, which was very cool. So, also can't mention small manufacturers without our boy Jesse. Trash Panda, very underrated molds. I think if people can get through their head, like get past like them being recycled discs in their head, because I think there's like a negative connotation with that somehow. But the Dune is so good. The Inner Core is so good. The Canyon is, if you haven't tried a Canyon, you got to try a Canyon. So make sure you check that out. But so Matt, thank you for the question. Appreciate you. Hopefully I gave you some insight on that. Next one's anonymous, but we'll walk through this because I think Jason, you and I both struggle with bag clutter every once in a while. What's the best way to remove clutter from your bag, especially when you have recently found multiple discs in the same slot? So I have kind of a generic answer because we talk about this a lot, Jason, but what about you? What is your thought on that?
How do I get rid of it? It's a good question. I'm not very good at it. I was looking at, because I'm about to, for our Patreon, for the Hyzer Club, I'm about to do an in the bag, and I realize I have like 3 or 4 discs that all do very similar things, and I notoriously have that. So because I'll have a beat-in Fission Hex and my Origin that essentially are the same disc, they just feel slightly different. So I probably don't have the best answer. So when I think about, for me, how I got rid of some clutter this year, is that I focus only on a handful of discs, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So instead of having 3 different types of, like I'm trying to go down to one disc I use for multiple things. My Wizard, my SSS Wizard, I can use on Hyzer, I can use on Flat, I can use on Anheuser. I love that thing. My Berg, both I have a Berg and a Berg X because the Berg X is more stable. I can throw those multiple ways, but it's just 2 Bergs. And then I have 1 Wizard in the bag, and then I have 2 Cicadas that basically do the same thing, but it's mostly in case I lose one. It's our Foundation Nintendo Cicada. a Thunderbird. So the focus of what I was trying to do is, instead of having, because my bag holds, if you take out the putters, holds about 18 discs pretty comfortably, maybe a little bit more. I try to go down and have multiple of the same disc. So I'm limiting, a la Gannon Burr, my options, which I don't have a wide skill set. So for me, it's like, if I know I only have these discs, I have to throw them this way. So I learn those discs to throw them the way I want them to throw, as opposed to finding the disc that was working for me. Now I'm a 865 rated player. I'm not a 1,000 rated player who needs 32 different discs in different situations, right? But for me, who's trying to focus in, well, this year I'm playing closer to 900 because I'm throwing the same 4 or 5 discs, because I know what they can do every time. As opposed to thinking, I'll give an example. At New London, there's a bunch of different discs you can do in London. But I played very much old man golf, and on the backs for New London, on the backside, which is the harder one, I shot better than the front, throwing a bunch of wizards and throwing a bunch of origins, because I knew what it did every single day. So it's focused on what I was trying to do. So I've kind of come around to a second thing is specific, maybe limit the disc molds you have and focus on those molds. But conversely, think about what you're trying to do as well. Like, I am trying to increase my rating this year, so I don't want a bunch of variety, but I want to know this disc is always going to go 220 dead straight or a little bit left. The Origin 250 to 260, I can push it a little bit right. My Cicada, if I'm flipping it, is going to go 270, 280, hit 300 sometimes. So since I'm limiting myself to those, it actually frees me up, knowing I don't have to make a wide range of decisions. That's kind of all over the map, but really it's focus on a couple of modes you want to learn really, really well, and then think about what you're trying to do with your bag, right? If you're just playing, if you're just playing for the fun of it, if you're playing competitively, you're trying to increase your rating, that'll kind of help me zone in on what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, I think it's a good call. I think that's very similar to my answer, Jason, which is, it's always depending on. Bag clutter's fine if you're just going out and having fun and trying out new discs. Like, that's fine. Don't worry about it. But if you are trying to improve, you have to kind of narrow it down. And I think I even said this last episode, I went back and forth on my theory on this. I used to want, like, if I'm looking at mid-ranges, I want a dead straight mid-range. I want a slightly understable and a really understable. And I want a slightly overstable, overstable, and then, like, very overstable. So I'd have, like, I'm looking for 6 there. I think if you're trying to minimalize and avoid clutter, it's going to be I like neutral, understable, overstable, and then try to, like, manipulate those a little bit. That avoids a lot of clutter on, like, the minutia in between. And I think the minutia in between is where the clutter comes from. And to your point with your cicadas, like, then if you find, like, you're like, okay, this is my, like, for me, my hex, like my dead straight with a little fade, right? So I use that disc so much, I want 2 of those in my bag. Or my FDs, I want 2. Or my E-Dougs, I want 2. And that's where I kind of, like, still fill out my bag, but I don't have a lot of different molds for mold confusion. So I think it's a good call out. I mean, again, that's pretty standard topic here, but I hopefully it gives some clarity to you, Anonymous. All right, next question.
I want to add one more thing to that, too. And doing that, limiting my molds, when I first started throwing the Cicada, I never really thought I'd throw it on forehand. But since I have limited molds in my bag, I'm like, let me just try it. And sometimes when I catch that forehand, I can go, for the first time in my life, 250 to 260 straight on a forehand that finishes to the right. Now, it's still a low percentage. I'm working on increasing that percentage. Right. But it's a shot I know I can do. On Monday night for the local league, there's a shot that's like 250 straight downhill, and I caught it perfect, like too perfect in that it was going to go much further, caught a tree and dropped straight down. But as soon as I let go, it flipped up and went dead straight. I never would have thought about that, because I would have had, like, the Thunderbird I'm trying to push a little straighter, but my Thunderbird's a Hunterbird, so it's a little stable. Going to mold minimalization made me use disc in ways I wouldn't have thought of beforehand, and they're turned out really good for me.
Okay, yeah, that's a great call out as well. Yeah, it kind of forces you to use discs a little differently and get creative, which is never a bad thing. It's never a bad thing to know all the things one disc can do for you.
Yeah, for sure.
So, all right, next one. This is a lengthy one here, so buckle your seatbelt. This is from Eric J. I've been working on finalizing my throwing putter setup in my bag. Hey, we both love throwing putters. This is a good question for us. I currently bag a Lucid Judge, which is my stable putter, an EMAC Judge, which is very straight, Brody Rubber Blend Roach, which is starting to become understable as it beats in, and I putt with 2 Supreme plastic Judges, which I'd never really thrown to see how they fly, just held, or just field warm up before a round. I'm a right-handed player, and a lot of shots at some of my local courses require a turnover backhand shot. I've been struggling lately to throw that shot with my putter after a recent form change. What would you suggest continuing to beat in my putter or my Roach so that it flips, or I throw flat, or bagging a different disc like a pure to get that shot right now. Okay, so essentially summary here. Eric is bagging, excuse me, a Lucid Judge, EMAC Judge, and Brody Rubber Blend Roach that's starting to become understable. He has a lot of courses, or a lot of holes in his course that requires a right-handed turnover backhand shot. So he wants to know, should he just like continue beating the Roach and hope that flips when he throws it flat, or should he bag a different putter like a pure to get that shot right now?
Yeah.
So I'll go ahead and jump in on this one first, Jason. My thought is yes and yes. Continue to beat in the Roach because you already have confidence with that Roach. Put another Roach back in your bag. But until that Roach gets to where you need it to be, you need that. You need the shot right now. You can't wait and have like inconsistency from the Roach. And what might actually happen is you put a disc in there that you like, and then it maybe just kicks the Roach out altogether. I would definitely keep both in right now and pick something and experiment for that turnover shot. Pure might be a good one, maybe a base plastic one, depending on how far you throw, what your like throw is like. I'm trying to think. PA5 is a really good option for that. I love the PA5 because you can throw it pretty hard and it'll turn, but it's not. I don't. Every PA5 that I've thrown, especially like a premium plastic one, I don't ever feel like it's going to like burn over on me. I think it's a really solid disc for that spot, particularly. You also have a proxy, but you may have to beat that in a little bit to get it to do the turn, just depending on which plastic that you get as well. So that's probably what I'd recommend. What do you think, Jason? Should he keep the Roach and keep beating it in, add something in there, do both? What do you think?
I actually agree. I was going to come in and say add a new disc, but what you said to me, I totally agree with. Like, continue to beat in the Roach, but then try something else while in the interim, right? And that way, going back to the previous question of mode minimalization, so you don't have an extra disc just for one specific shot. Mm-hmm. And absolutely, I for me now, I've seen people throw the PA5 great and it not burn over. The one premium PA5 I threw burned every time, and that could be me, right? I acknowledge that's my throwing, and this was 2 years ago. So if I threw it now and I feel like I'm throwing better, I could probably throw it right. The PA5 is a good standard answer I hear people talk about. We don't have any in stock, but the Pixel is my disc for that specific shot, the turning push. Yeah. Now, my beat-in Wizard, if I catch it right, will definitely continue to push right. But if right now I have a Pixel in the back for that very reason. And then my next one back, if we don't have the Pixel, is beat-in and Electron proxy for that very thing as well. So I agree that in the interim, if you need that shot today, get a disc today that can do it. Baseline Pure, when I lost my Wizard this week, I for a short while thought about throwing a Pure because I know that Pure can do that. But then you came through today and got me my pink Wizard. Thank you, Brad. And so, but the Pure is one that I thought about putting in for that because I putt with Pures, but then I was going to mark it to make sure it's my throwing Pure because there's still going to be a baseline Pure as well. So because I have another pink, because we have one of the Exo Soft Pures out here that I putt with.
That's a good one.
So I think for right now, get a baseline, ideally a baseline proxy, a baseline Pure, because you can get those pretty cheap. Go to the used section, you can find them for here $5 to $8, or $5. And then still continue to beat in that Roach because that's what you know and love. Well, then eventually it'll get there once you feel the throwing style for that. And if it doesn't, well, then now you have that other disc to fill that slot. Yeah,
exactly. And then the good thing about both the Pure and the Roach is they come in a lot of plastics too, so you can experiment there too. Because I like having that I guess variable to work with as well. So, Eric, hopefully that helps you on your journey to find an understable throwing putter. But I do think you need one now. Because if your course is demanding it and you're playing this courses a lot, you need it now. Don't wait. You're just going to get frustrated. Okay. This one's from Cooper Rodman. So this one, I got to read a little background. For a little background, I shot my first ever under par tournament round a couple weeks ago prior to having historically poor tournament playing and consistently shooting over par. Well, congratulations, Cooper. That's awesome. Well, I was recently playing a tournament and found myself tied for the lead going into the second round and ended up slipping down to a tie for third because I wasn't mentally sharp in the second round. I started making some poor decisions and playing tight. What suggestions do you have to improve the mental side and continue to let my game come to me? Interesting. So, Cooper, I picked this question today for Jason because Jason is having a lot of tournament highs and tournament not even lows, like mids, because I think you're playing really well right now. But I know we talk about mental game a lot, and I know you mentally prep for rounds. So I thought this was a great question for you. having someone, and I know you've, not to expose you here, Jason, but you've had several rounds where you're going in to the second round, either first or tied for first or second, and then something kind of happens on the second round. So I thought you could maybe, you and Cooper could relate a little bit here and maybe give him a little bit of advice and kind of like what you do mentally to make sure you stay sharp in the second round, or how to, I guess kind of also stay up when things aren't going your way.
Yeah. It's a great question because right, I've had the lead in 3 different tournaments and then lost it in the second round. So it's a good question that there's not always easy answers for. But what I'm doing this year to help better prepare, is if I know the course. Like my wife makes fun of me because I'm very big into as a longtime athlete or pretend to be athlete, very big into visualization. And so the courses we play locally here, whether they're league or their tournaments, I will play them in my head beforehand because I know the courses so well. So my number one is really visualization. Play them in your head. Elite athletes around the world do that all the time, right? They think through everything they do. Head football coaches for college and NFL teams will literally plot out their first 2 drives, every single play, because they know what they expect to happen, right? Mm-hmm. So I know on Falling Creek, both reds and yellows, I know exactly what disc I'm going to throw, what I want the throw to do, right? Situations will change, but I know what I can do, rather. I go through it in my head. I know what I can do with that and go through it. And that what that also helps is in the middle of a round, if you just had a bad hole, like I've already played this hole in my head multiple times. So I know even though I just blew up on a hole, my very next hole, I'm still bringing on my wizard, doing a little standstill, half shot to throw it down the tunnel or whatever that may be. Yep. I'm very big into minimalization beforehand. And the second one, and this is one I've worked harder on, is if you haven't played the course a lot and maybe you don't know it and you're kind of playing it blind or new, it's really try to get into a routine for what you do during the course, right? So that you can get out of your head, whatever that routine is. Is it thinking about a movie, thinking about a TV show, is it talking about the weather? Whatever that is trying to build a natural routine so you're used to going through the motions. Mm-hmm. Anybody who plays disc golf with me knows that on principle, I play faster than most other disc golfers, because I'm a rhythm-based guy. I get into a rhythm of playing. Walk up, step, putt. Walk up, step, throw. So I get into this rhythm. But what that is really habit, right? It's getting into the same habit of doing the same way, the same things every single time. So when you're on a course and you just took a 7 on a par 3 that you should have at most taken a 4 or 5 like I did on Monday night, you just can't think about it, which is easier said than done. So I get in my rhythm. I already start as soon as I finish that hole. Sit there for a second, gave myself like a 5-second rule to be a baby, and then moved on. Okay, the next hole, I need to get on my wizard and think about that shot, right? Easier said than done, but thinking about the course and thinking about it as opposed to looking back on it, and part of that's the rhythm. Like if I'm in the back of the tee box, I will warm up. I'll get my disc. I'll dry my hands off. But it's trying to get in that pattern so you can't think about what just happened, and you're naturally doing what you need to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think you said what I think the highlight of what you said is like preparation. Make sure that even because it's just how it's going to be. If you're playing a 2-round tournament, especially if they're on the same day, you're going to be more tired in the second round. You're going to be a little bit more mentally taxed, emotionally taxed if you're like excited about winning or you're like nervous. All those emotions are going to be there too. If you have a plan and you've mentally played through this course and you've prepped for this, your body can kind of take over. You already have a plan. The hard thinking is done, so there's not a lot of mental tax happening. So yeah. I think Jason spot on that for sure. So Cooper, I think just making sure that you're really prepped, not just kind of prepped, but really prepped. If you're starting to get to the level where you're battling for those top couple slots and it's you want to be competitive, you've got to prep harder than the other people, and you've got to just be ready to go. And again, and Jason said this too, have a game plan or a backup plan. I would call it Jason's plan B is if he's out there and he starts tanking and shooting poorly, he's going back on his anchor discs and then really relying on those to get him back in a rhythm and make good decisions. Those are forcing him. Jason, your wizard is forcing you to throw placement shots. You don't have the capability of throwing that wizard 400 feet. So
and that's a good point, because you fall back on the things you can do. Is what I did at New London the other day, because when we did New London League 2 weeks ago, I double bogey the first 4 holes. And even playing okay, I should double bogey maybe 1 or 2 of those. I double bogeyed 4 straight holes to start a round. I was like, holy stink, right? Everything, but I was throwing my skate a lot. So if I pull back to, because it also, if you mentally go in knowing, well, let me fall back to maybe I don't go as far, but it's a shot that works out for me. You're going to work that. Theoretically, you work that timing back out in your throw. And on the backside, I started throwing the cicada a little bit more because I just felt the rhythm came back. Right. So like you said, falling back on something you can do almost with your eyes closed. Ideally, that helps build back in that the hand-eye muscle memory, so you can now throw that cicada or whatever it is. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're filming in the bag right now. Just shout out Brian Sennett. He just walked in here and dropped off a disc. So, yeah. So, but yeah, no, I think that's just a great point. And I'm always like, I guess on the opposite side of this too, Jason. I'm always, the few tournaments I've played, I like to have a plan. And like, I think the biggest mistake people make, including myself, by the way, and you've seen me do this plenty, is I know what I should throw on those holes. Like you said, you're walking through and visualizing, what shot you're going to throw. I'm the same way. But if you, like you said, if you double bogey those first 4 holes, your job now is not to go get those strokes back. You're in tourniquet mode. So you need to play conservatively. I tend to play aggressively, and I don't have the skill to play aggressively. So, maybe there's an opportunity where you throw a good drive and you can maybe get a par where you were expecting a bogey, especially on somewhere like New London, right? Or somewhere shorter like Falling Creek. You might be in a position where you can run a long putt and try to make up a birdie, but you do not need to start like making up strokes immediately. Right. You don't abandon your game plan. If anything, like we said, you fall back into plan B on your like anchor discs and start recovering, because again, if you get those 4 double bogeys, right, you're expecting maybe a bogey average for those 4 holes, and then the next couple holes you're also expecting 2 bogeys, but you get pars on all those, you're creeping back up without having to try to be aggressive and try to get a birdie or something silly like that. So I think that is the biggest thing for the mental load, is just like, by acknowledging all that stuff before you go into the round, you already have a plan. Even if you're playing bad, even if you start to slip, you have a plan. And here's the thing: if you start to slip and you maintain your composure, and because guess what, the other players on your card are your level 2. You're there for a reason. They're going to get tired too. They're mentally taxed too. And if they see you start to like slip, and then you recover very quickly, then mentally they're like, okay, I got to stay. They now are saying, I have to keep my game at a high level because this guy can recover. You know what I mean? So I think I think those are all really good advice. Cooper, thanks for writing in. We appreciate you. Next one is Thomas with a question about maybe Jason's favorite topic. I hear you talk a lot about playing in our top or bottom thirds. So recently I've been doing a lot of form changes and getting better, UDisc ratings, and I keep feel like I'm playing in my top thirds, and mentally I start to think I'm due for a bottom third round soon. I know this isn't good mental thoughts at the start of a round. What are the best ways to have my mental thirds reset so maybe this isn't a top and maybe my new middle? If that makes sense. I think what he's asking is, and Jason, I would say you are in this exact scenario right now. You're playing in your top third so often that maybe your bottom and middle third are kind of like growing with that. So I think what Thomas is asking is like, what's your thought on like mentally resetting your top, middle, bottom thirds, and like what's that process been like for you? Yeah,
it's an interesting thing, because from the first time Robbie talked about bottom, his thirds a couple years ago, I've embraced that heavily, because going back to how I frame and accept what I'm doing, it's a good thing for me. You can debate all day about the concepts of all that. It doesn't matter to me. I buy into it. It's very much a Robbie thing. And so for me, so what is I'm going to ask you, because I already went off thinking when you were talking, so I apologize, Brad. Okay. What is the bottom line question there? So
the bottom line,
I started going off in my own mind, and so I apologize. What is the bottom line question for?
Yeah. I'm going to read this verbatim, what Thomas said. What's the best way to have my mental thirds reset so maybe this isn't my top, but maybe my new middle? Basically asking, when your top becomes more consistent, what's the best mental way to reset it so that's maybe your middle to grow, I think is what he's asking.
To me, it's being brutally honest with yourself, right? We are humans. We are as athletes. We try to make excuse for why things are bad, right? I got a bad kick. Oh, it's the second round row. I got a bad kick. Third round row. I got a bad kick. Oh, I watch pros do this all the time. It drives me batty. Own that kicks go both ways, right? I truly believe in that you get as much good luck on a course as you get bad luck, right? You may be that one anomaly,
right,
but most people are not, right? There are certain pros who every time they play bad, oh yeah, the breaks just didn't go my way today. So as opposed to I just didn't throw well today, right? I applaud pros who will acknowledge that they just didn't throw well. We as amateurs are the same way. We're like, oh, the wind was a really heavy day. I was just kind of off today. You know, I got a bunch of bad kicks. To me, is being brutally honest, and not mean honest, but brutally honest. Like, yeah, I believe I should shoot 4 under every time on that course, but I'm shooting 1 under. Well, that's clearly what it is. It wasn't because of this, wasn't because of this. It's owning up to the reality of the situation, which doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means that's where you're at that moment, right? Always having a reason for why score went low is, well, that's just the score went low because you played bad, right?
Right.
I mean, much more. That sounds much more mean than I mean it to. But to me, it's about
well, you threw the
being
disc.
discerning.
No one else threw the disc for you.
Right. No one did anything else.
Yeah.
It's you against the course. No matter who else is on that course, in the end, and everyone else there through that. And if you feel that, you know. So we too often are not willing to be honest with ourselves with those things, which is not meaning you're a bad person. It just means your level isn't where you want it to be at that moment, right? Yeah. And it's about, because even for me, I did nothing in the off season, but my middle third has shifted up. Like I am clear, like right now, I am playing at a higher level than I have. I'm playing at roughly 890 rated golf, right? Which to really good golfers, that's nothing. But to me, who's been a low 800 golfer since I've my rating started at like 815. I'm at 865 now, right? And so to be playing at an 880 level, it feels great, and I haven't done anything different. But when I played Monday night, I played like the worst round I played all season, but it rated 830. I was like, okay, well that's good. That's a good place to be. But it was more. I got down on myself and started looking at that and trying to figure out reasons why I was like I just didn't play good, right? In the end, I threw the shots that hit the trees. In the end, I was not throwing the way I wanted to do it. So I don't know if that's a really great answer, but it's being honest with yourself and the consistency of what it is. 2 or 3 rounds will not tell you if your upper or middle third has changed. Yeah. It's going to take 8 to 10 rounds, 10 to 15, 20 to 30 to really know, because you need that sample size to actually know what's going on. In between rounds at the course and actual rated rounds, I've played more in the last 5 months than I did maybe all of last year, right? I've played a ton. I don't practice at all. I should practice. I don't even practice putting. I putt literally once a week on Wednesdays for our putting stream. Other than that, other than a random 1 or 2 putts in the warehouse, I don't putt that much. Yeah. And granted, my putting hasn't increased either. So it's not like I'm putting really good. I'm just throwing really good, so I don't have to make as many putts. If I actually could putt, I'd be well over 900 rated this year. But it's being honest with yourself and letting the sample size be bigger. Don't let a couple of bad rounds be like, well, my middle third is too clearly lowered. But after 10 rounds, if you've had a number of rounds lower than you thought they should be, well, then maybe your thirds have changed some. Don't let a 2 or 3 really good ones, really low ones change that. Let the time will tell where you're at with that, and just be honest and be like, okay, well, if my middle third is lowered, why is that? Am I out of, like, I know I am out of shape, right? I told Elizabeth when I blew up on Monday night, I was like, if I weighed like 20 pounds less, that's probably like 2 or 3 strokes because it was hot here, whatever, right? So then try to analyze why maybe it's changed. Maybe you haven't played enough. Maybe you need to work on your backhand. Your backhand's completely off. Your forehand's completely off. But it's a bigger sampling size of your rounds for me to help kind of analyze that.
Yeah, and I think you said a lot of good stuff there. And just a couple things I want to highlight. Thomas, you mentioned the UDisc ratings, like you're kind of using that to judge, and maybe you don't play a lot of tournaments, but I do like the new UDisc rating system for that. I think it's like a little subjective, but if you're just trying to gauge your personal performance, then I think that's fine. And I think it's okay, like Jason said, you need a large sample size. I think that's accurate for sure. So pick one course, play it like 6 times. What's your average there? Are you shooting 4 under or better every time? Then maybe 4 under is your middle, because it's your average there. And then set your own goal. You establish what your upper, middle, and lower thirds are. So I think also having numerical values will help you, because it's not really fact or feeling, it's fact at that point. And that will maybe, if you're desiring to grow and get better, I think that will help you a lot. So I think that's definitely a good thing to do, and I think it's okay to have an upper, middle, and lower third at each. If you only have a couple courses, and I think that's okay. And I think because you can have one course that maybe there's a lot of demanding distance shots, so you don't have distance to. So your scores are going to look very different there than at like a short, like par 3 type course, right? And your upper, middle, lower thirds are going to be very different because of your skill too. So I think it's okay to set individual goals, individual courses, and you're kind of using the UDisc ratings, which I think is a great thing. And the biggest thing Jason said is being honest, and the only way to get better at anything is to be honest. I'm dealing with that in jiu-jitsu life right now, is like I'm so close to my blue belt, which is a very big deal. Only like 8% of people that start jiu-jitsu get to that point. And I'm really acknowledging that, like, hey, there are 2 or 3 things I'm really bad at right now, and it's not anybody's fault. It's mine, and I got to do it. Same thing with disc golf. I didn't start gaining distance recently until I acknowledged my form is very wrong and I'm not doing it right. And I have to hold myself accountable and record myself throwing, which is very uncomfortable to do. So, Thomas, good luck out there. I think, by the way, this problem you're having is a very good problem to have. You're reestablishing, you're growing and getting better, so you have to just kind of reset. Just have realistic expectations. That's the last thing I'll say with it is, if you're shooting 4 under at this course on average, your new upper third doesn't need to be 10 under. Like let's grow incrementally here. So good luck to you, Thomas. Congratulations on your improvement for sure. All right, this one's fun. This is from Doug from Asheville, North Carolina. He says, let's talk about shoes. It seems like this is an often overlooked topic. As someone coming off an injury related to wearing trail shoes that were way too grippy and not getting properly out to the extended heel during my follow-through, this seems like a good topic to discuss. I've learned that actually wearing shoes that do not stick too much on the tee pad but still allow enough grip is the key. Please discuss your thoughts and brands. Thank you. Okay. So I would say that my personal experience, we've had several sponsors in this area, so we've got the opportunity to try several things. I know, Jason, you're kind of like a shoe guy just from your marathon and your running and things like that you used to do. So shoes are very important to you. Shoes are maybe less important to me, but I'll give my very limited thoughts, which are I loved playing in Vans, just flat top Vans for a long time. Because of that, I liked a little bit of a slide, almost like a bowling. You know how you want a little bit of slide on your shoes? I kind of like that. Now, I did get an injury. I fractured my tibia, and I had this weird knee thing. And after that, I wanted something grippy because I was afraid to hyperextend my knee. So I kind of, like you, was looking for something middle gripping. So we did try Vivos, which were fun. I did like Vivos. I think my only issue with Vivos were I liked that they dried out super quickly. They weren't waterproof, and I did feel like they got a little slippery when I was trying to use them in any sort of mud or water. I'm wearing Vessies now every time I play, and I'm really liking them because they kind of give me the water protection and I don't know. I feel like they have a little bit more cushioning in the sole, which I need right now with my feet, of a hiking boot. But they give me the comfort of a tennis shoe, and also I like my foot and ankle to be able to move, which I think is your kind of point, Doug. And I feel like the Vessies allow me to do that, and they're very good with grip. I notice, especially with a damp tee pad, I don't feel like I'm going to slip. But they're not like you're going out there and you're planting your foot and nothing else is going to move. It's still going to give you action that you need on your follow through. So I would recommend Vessies. I know we're sponsored, but objectively, they are the best disc golf shoe I've tried so far. So Jason, what do you think?
Yep. I have not tried as many disc golf specific shoes, but when I came in, I did what everybody else did, was get some Adidas Arc'teryx shoes, that were never soft or comfortable, but had good grip. They were trail shoes. So I had 2 different pairs of those I wore for a while, but they were just never particularly comfortable on my feet. Adidas don't work for me that well. I'm an Asics guy all the way from running. And so but there's no really Asics trail shoes I really like for the whole grip thing. And so I like having a little bit more grip because I don't have a big foot turn on. I don't have a massive turn, so my having grip on the tee pad doesn't affect me because I don't have to put a lot of torque. And so I actually just wore my A6 running shoes for a long time. And then as they wore out and got too slick, I remember this heavily. The first time Brad and I did like a pairing in a video, we played the editors. Like I'd only been here a few months, and I slipped on hole 16. And it's on camera, and it's terrible. So because if I had my Vessies on back then, but I had just shoot, and because the grass was a little bit wet, and I threw and slipped, and it's on camera, so you can go watch that if you want to find it. We're at Falling Creek, but yeah, I realized I didn't know I would like it, but I realized I liked having mid tops, right? Because I have the Vessi Stormburst. Love Vessi Stormburst. Ironically, I'm playing my best since I got the Vessi, so maybe that's it. Maybe it's the combination of the Vessis and the confidence it gives me for those. But I love the Vessis. The grip is just enough, but not too much. Of course, it's waterproof, which is great, right? And if nothing else, just for those. Maybe not so much now, but come the fall and the spring when you have the dew out there and you're walking through there. I feel like I don't mean to be an advertiser for Vessi because I know we're sponsored by them, but they really are amazing shoes, right? Yeah. But what I realized, and I said already, is that I didn't know I would have liked, because they're not pure high tops, more like mid tops, right? They're not quite super high, but that little bit of extra stability there, I think just gives me some little mental confidence for whatever reason. I'm getting older. I'm not quite in the shape I used to be. But that extra, because they're not tight, but they're comfortably, and so I think that little bit of a high top on there feels good, right? I haven't since I've gotten the Vessis, I don't play any of my other shoes, and just like if I get more Vessis, I don't think I'll get the low tops. I'll just get more pairs of the high tops because I just like the way they feel for that. So it is, in the end, my biggest feedback is get something that's comfortable, because when you're walking out on the course for 3 or 4 hours, you want something that's comfortable to use for you. And then having some grip, because T-pads can be slick out there. So
and I will say I do have a lot of now that I'm trying to like gain some more distance and like have more compact and kind of fire out of my form. I will say the Vessis have given me that confidence that like my knee's not going to like hyperextend the other way. I do feel like it has enough grip. So Doug, I think definitely check out Vessis. Definitely a good look, again, even above Vivos, which I was a big Vivo guy for a minute, but after wearing the Vessis, like they're just very comfortable. And I like the high tops too, Jason, because I feel like if I'm ever in water, really, it's like I'm just like slightly in the water, like surrounded by water. I can just step right in. I don't have to get my retriever, and that's nice.
One other thing that was great about Vessi too, I'll jump in if that's all right, Brad, is that because of their waterproof, they are warm.
Yes.
So I mean, just full disclosure, my wife would hate these shoes because they don't breathe well because they're waterproof. But that also makes them great shoes for the winter.
Yes.
So when we went to Gatlinburg, when I've been out in the winter, because we had a good bit of snow this year, I'd wear it in the snow. We went to Gatlinburg when it was freezing cold, walked outside, super comfortable shoes. They're not overly hot, but if you run hot feet, you may not want Vessis because of that waterproofness, they don't breathe very well. But it doesn't bother me. I just want to make sure we give that kind of like a public service announcement.
Yeah, and my feet run very hot, and I will say they don't bother me too much. Now, the other day when we played, and it was like close to 90. I was happy to take them off. But I didn't. It's not like my feet are on fire. I gotta get these off. I gotta end the round early. It was just like a relief. It was like I felt like steam came out of them. But yeah, I do appreciate that. They're going to be great in the wintertime. All right. Well, maybe do like one more here, Jason. Maybe 2 more, depending on what time we have left. But this is Garrett from Green Bay. I'm currently a 900 rated player, and I play in MA2. After this next update, I'll fall below 900 and will be eligible to play in MA3. I haven't felt very confident playing in MA2 and was curious if you think it would be a good idea to gain some confidence down in MA3 before moving up to MA2. I have a very strong opinion about this, Jason, so I'll save mine, but I'm curious what you think.
Well, now I'm intrigued about yours. So, because ours may be different, right? Because I hung out MA4 as long as I could until I was forced to go to MA3. And still lost a bunch, right?
Yeah.
As previously mentioned, I only won one actual. It was a flex that I won at MA4.
Right.
But it depends on what you're trying to do, right? You by PDGA rules, you have every right to be in MA3, so you go to MA3. Don't let anybody else talk you out of it or make you feel bad for it, right?
Yeah.
If you were finished at the bottom of MA2 because you had to play there because of that 900 rating, but you hit 898 or 899 or whatever it may be, you have every right to be there. And if PDGA didn't want that, they wouldn't have it that way.
Right.
So don't feel bad. Now, if you start playing your local rounds and destroy everybody by 5 or 6 strokes, maybe take a couple of those victories and then move back to MA2, right? So that those other guys who are struggling in MA3 and trying to just, because, a win is very important. It feels very good to have a win.
Yep.
I have, I think, 2 total wins, one in MA4, one in MA3. That little bit of excitement of actually pulling out a victory is an exciting thing, right? And so my feedback to you is like, you have every right to be in MA3. Don't let anybody judge you for being in MA3. But if you go there and you're smoking everybody, maybe look inside and say, I'll take a couple of victories. But that gave you the confidence knowing you can do it. And then go back to MA2 and start working on the competing at the MA2 level. Because it is tough. If you're just barely over 900 and you're at MA2, and some of those MA2 guys can be MPO guys on any given day, right? Depending on what course it is. I know it can be tough. But go there, run it for a little bit, and then jump back out if you're doing really well to let those other MA3 guys get a win here or there.
Yeah. So my opinion is not necessarily different from yours. I'm just going to say it maybe a little bit more abrasively. You're not an MA2 player yet. That's what I think. I think you jumped up way too early. I think sometimes it's easy, especially if it depends on the rounds you're playing or you're like going out and I think Garrett, and I'm not judging you for this because I think we all get caught up on this. I think you were chasing the rating and chasing I just want to be out of MA3. But you're still an MA3 player, and maybe your rating got a little inflated because of something you played, or a weekly, or you're playing like a hard course, and you could even shoot like kind of an MA3 player and maybe get that 900 rated, and I don't know, Garrett, I don't know, but I think it's easy sometimes to do that, but I really think that you're still just an MA3 player. And maybe you're like, oh, I got to 900 rated, boom, I'm jumping up to MA2, and it was just a little too early for you. Because like Jason said, a lot of those MA2 guys are really good, and they're probably really MA2 players that maybe should be like MPO players. We just don't know yet. So I think you just maybe got a little too eager, and like, congratulations, you're doing the work, you're trying to get your rating up, you're trying to play better, but like Jason said, MA3 is there for a reason, and don't be afraid to hang out there. And I think, Jason, you said exactly basically what Robbie and I say all the time, is if you're in MA3 and you're winning everything you're playing all the time by like 4 or 5 strokes, then it's time to move up and challenge yourself. But if you're in MA3 and you're not winning, then you're still in MA3.
Right. So
I think you're probably right on like the cusp of MA3, MA2, but maybe just sharpen a little bit. And like Jason said, you have every right to be in MA3. Just be there. Be proud of it, because a win in MA3 is much more satisfying than a 20th place in MA2. And it's okay. It's okay to feel good about yourself. It's okay to feel good about yourself if you're putting in the work and you're improving. Just when it's appropriate, then move up. Don't sandbag. And I know people go back and forth about, is that a thing? It is a thing, and people do it. So don't be that guy. But right now, if you're not confident and you're not coming close to winning, and your rating's dropping, you're not ready for it, and that's okay. That doesn't mean you're never going to be. It doesn't mean you're bad. It just means you're not ready for it. So I think just hang in there, play some more MA3, and do your thing, Garrett. You're going to get there. You're going to get there. You're doing well. Play MA3, get your confidence back, and then you're going to be competitive in MA2. So that's where I'm keeping that. I think we'll end the questions there, Jason. But as always, we got to give everybody a little sneak peek of what's new in the warehouse. So, Jason, you want to give everyone a rundown? I'll help you. I have the board behind me, so I'll help you fill in any gaps.
Well, I have pulled up our recently restocked as well. So we have actually because we totally restocked the Dark Horse store.
Right.
We have a bunch of different discs restocking on there. So for the Dark Horse store, we have the Get Beefy Crystal Flex Zone OSs. Awesome disc. I actually grabbed when I unboxed them, because I used to carry a Zone OS that Boyd Jr. died for me, but it's not pink, so it's out of the bag. But the box I unboxed were pink, so I grabbed one of those. So that Zone OS is going back in the bag. They are all pink. I'll give you that, because the box we opened was all pink. But we have the Crystal Flex Zone OS, Get Beefy, the Dark Horseman Crystal Meteor. I'm not a Meteor guy at all, but people seem to love this one, and this is also the one that when me, you, and Robbie shot the 3-way video or something where we rotated the disc, this was the Meteor that he loved that got thrown in the water or something crazy. I can't remember the story of that. But that's that Meteor. So we know Robbie then loved that Meteor. So, and the Meteor is a great disc. Brody still loves the Meteor. Dark Horse Z-Buzz, which is their Z-Buzz with a small Dark Horse. Janus Thrasher, very popular disc, very great disc. Another one, the Thrasher never works for me, but I hear nothing but great things about the Janus Thrasher because I think they're all Z-Lite plastic, so it's good stuff. And a Restock on the Get Lucky ESP Jawbreaker Avenger SS. Avenger SS, great disc. Not the same plastic, but Paul was throwing the Avenger SS all over New London, and it's just, Paul is still really good. It's even though he hasn't won in a while, Paul is still, one of his all-time greats for a reason. And to show him throw that Avenger SS so beautifully in the recycled plastic, the way it can be thrown, even from a top-level pro, was really fun. Two other big restocks that everybody will be excited about. Well, one is a new stamp we've had before, but on disc we haven't done. The Building Your Game stamp that you guys have seen. We have some in stock right now. They're on UV. I think they're UVZ zones. At least that's how we have them listed. And then also on a big Z glow buzz. Very if you're in Patreon, you would have seen a video that we did, a little unboxing where Brad showed how the glow was pretty good. And of course, it's always a passion. Everybody loves a passion. These passions feel great. I love a passion. Brad's the only one who hasn't jumped on the boat yet for some unknown reason. Everybody comment below, tell Brad he needs to get a passion because we got a bunch of them over there. And then the other big one that's dropping Friday is more Hunterbirds, right? Yep, everybody loves the Hunterbird. It's probably the number 2 requested disc of custom stamps behind the Shaman, we all know. But the Hunterbird is one that we got hit up a lot lately. They look amazing. All the Hunterbirds, that Halo plastic looks fantastic. Ton of those will be on stock dropping Friday. And then we have some stuff that's already hit the site this week. We have what do we have? We had the Glacier, a new disc, remolded kind of disc for Ganon Glacier, which feels good. The Function hit the site this week. The first run Ospreys from Climo disc hit the site this week.
The Sweep from
the Sweep. I was about to say the Sweep from Isaac. That after it goes to the weekend, if there's any pink ones left, I may purchase one of those because I don't want to grab one yet in case they're really popular. But kind of like our internal rule is if it makes it through the weekend, well then maybe I'll grab one of those discs. We want to make sure you guys have a chance to get one first. The Tough from Castaplast is coming out as well. The Core, very cool filling disc for sure. And then a restock on the Trident. We haven't had the Trident in a while. Those will be hitting the site as well. Those will already be on the site by the time this drops on Friday.
Absolutely. And remember, we got some of these cool new discs like the Glacier, the Sweep, the Core, the Trident discs you may not have ever tried before. So don't forget we have Foundation Care, so you can try them risk-free for 30 days. Make sure you like them. If not, you can email Jason. We have a form on our website. You can fill out the form, emails Jason, and Jason can give you credit toward a disc of the same value that you might know and love already. So don't have fear trying out these new discs because whether they're a Core or a Sweep or something classic like a Zone or a Buzz, if it's good, where do they keep it, Jason?
In the bag.
We'll see y'all next week.